I'll pause it here in a second.
Where?
What was your report? What we said? 2021.
Okay, I don't remember it yet, so there was trouble. For the last 5 lives. Yeah, last a year ago. It is sold at least. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, fertilizer. It's come down some.
Yeah.
George, anyway. Yeah. Oh, okay. I'll roll the chairs across it today. I'm scared. I'm sure they go across
From like 65.
95.
95.
When this building was built.
And there's a really better, I'm sure that's right. This kind of blue. Yeah.
So it's good. That's what it
They're not asbestos.
All right, it's 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting of the Morrison City Council to order. Unfortunately, our clerk is not able to be with us tonight, so city administrator will be doing double duty. And would you please call the roll?
Alderman Cruz. Here. The Happy.
Here.
Schlegel. Here. Sidewalk. Here. Terrell. Here. Josh. Yes. Bruckner. Yes. Fischler. Here.
We stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone here who intends to record this meeting? You. I looked at the sign in, there are nobody intended for public comment. All right, reports of city officers and department heads. Chief.
The only thing I will say is during the month of October, the Morrison Police Department did an initiative to help raise money for breast cancer awareness. So what we did was we sold a specially designed pink shirt with our police department logo on the front and the back that was with a ribbon on it indicating our support for those that have gone through breast cancer. So we ended up raising over $200, and we took that money and we donated it to the Pink Heals organization, which does support breast cancer survivors. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Nathan, you have distributed a disc.
Yes, I did. Yes, I'll go with that last, but tomorrow night we have black and white movie night right in here. We are going to play this movie here, the big combo. It's free for senior citizens. We're gonna have free popcorn, and then you bring your own beverage, non-alcoholic, of course. And then Thursday we have game night, which also be for senior citizens. They'll both be at 6 o'clock. And then my Turkey Trot 5K fun run has been gaining steam here. We got today 26 people signed up so far. I was on the radio last Friday for WSPR talking about it. And the food pantry, and then all the money's gonna go to the food pantry. The shirt is covered, so all the money will go to pantry. And also we have a donor that is matching everybody, so your $20 will be $40. So that's coming up in a couple weeks. And then next month I'll be prepping for youth basketball and youth wrestling for January. And then this map you got in front of you is the final for the map that's gonna be at the Kelly Park. It'll be 2 foot by 3 foot sign. And if you guys use your phones, you can see those QR codes in the corner. You can actually, it'll work. You just gotta kind of really, they're small. But the top QR code is this map. So when you take your phone, you can actually get this map on your phone. So you can walk the whole course and have the map. And then the bottom QR code is the City of Morrison website. So, and then of course, there'll be the 9 signed for each pole that will be coming to, so. Hopefully we'll have that by maybe next month, and then if it's nice, we can put them up, if not, we'll have to do it in the spring. So,
Thank you. Treasurer, you don't have a report tonight, anything else to add? Nope. All right, thank you. Anything you want to say?
Mr. Mayor, along with my report. Along with my report, just add one thing, we are going through our every 3-year water use survey. Throughout our community, the EPA requires us to do this, amongst several other things, but, our customers, our residents with water accounts will, be receiving, if you haven't already, a postcard from Aqua Backflow, to basically fill out this postcard or fill out the survey by going online. They ask it to be done in like the next 30 days, because we have to then report that to the EPA. And so, I put out a release today, it's on our social media, on our website, etc. So if anybody asks you about this postcard from Aqua Backflow, it's legitimate, and we ask that they complete the survey in a timely manner to help us meet our requirements for our public water supply. So,
Right. Thank you. There are 4 items on the consent agenda. Does anybody wish to remove any of those items from consent? If not, a motion to approve the consent agenda is in order.
So moved.
Is there a second?
second,
Is there any further discussion of those 4 items? Since there is money involved, we do need a roll call vote. Would you please?
Alderman Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Zeidman,
Yes.
Travell,
Yes.
Bickler. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
And Cruz,
Yes.
motion carries.
Motion carries. Then for consideration and possible action, nothing was removed to consent agenda. We do have the annexation of the 2 parcels. Address 14601 Norwich Road. On your pages 16 to 22, these are the 2 buildings. The city owns the land and the buildings, but they are not actually within city limits. And this would annex those parcels. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay. It is on the floor for further discussion. There is description of the properties and a satellite picture of the map as well of those 2 properties. Any questions, comments, discussions on that?
Yeah, parcel 2. Looks like we're annexing to the middle of the creek. Is that true? Is that what we need to do?
No, parcel 2 is the, that small narrow sliver.
That's the access into the old quarry, right?
Well, that,
But it says commencing at a point in the center of Rock Creek. Which is
3rd line from the bottom and first.
732 feet east and all the rest of the garbage, but we're starting at the middle of the creek. I find that confusing.
yes, I do not have an answer for that.
It's just the way it's platted it's just the legal description by the, on the plat book as it stands for that section.
I can see it starting at the middle of the road, but I can't see it starting at the middle of the creek.
They probably platted this out already 250 years ago or 200 years ago, and that's how they platted it. So to change the legal description now would take more, then there would leave an area of real estate in question according to the historic record of the plat books in the county. That's not, would be my take on it.
I'm sure we don't own to the middle of the creek there.
That's legal description we did.
But I think. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to that point, even if you look at the lines on the parcel, that point may start
Right.
in the
see
creek,
it.
but then the parcel actually ends and surrounds just the property of that narrow strip without the road or the creek. You catch what I'm saying? It's like the
State
one
that
line is
parcel
longer on
one, too.
one side. What's that?
States it in parcel 1 too,
Right,
about starting in the center of the creek.
right, but it doesn't end there. Yeah, we can certainly get clarification on that.
Who's responsible for the road now? Are we
No, township.
township?
Usually in the country, the parcel is, on most farms, you own to the middle of the road. But the township has the right of way to use it up to the fence line. See here, the next parcel over, it shows it going to the top of the bank, it looks like. No, it goes past the water.
-013. Okay. That's not part of the,
Well, it's not part of us, no, I
Right,
know
right.
that, but. See, this one goes across the creek.
no, this is the bank right there, that rock. I think this is the water from here to here. That's that rock.
I'm just gonna throw this in here. I think you're splitting hairs.
Well, that
Okay.
goes, that goes to the
This is,
creek.
this is how it was platted out.
This
It's legal
don't go
description.
down
I'm sure
the
Tim
creek.
pulled this.
Yes.
I promise you that there's nothing, they're not
Yeah.
gonna swallow over
That as a point
a foot of water.
Who knows if the creek bank might have changed over the last
Right,
200
right.
years.
And to change it, we throw everything else in that area in question.
Yeah, these, look, this did come from our attorney,
Mhm.
so for what that's worth. I don't have any concerns with it. I think the parcels are otherwise well defined.
So what is the proper procedure for asking for a vote? What are we gonna use here? Somebody wants to say, okay, let's vote. It says in the book that you're supposed to make a motion and second and 2/3 are supposed to agree, which is good in a very important issue, I suppose, but. You know, they say, don't call the question, that's wrong. You make a motion to call.
Right, right. But I would, I
You
think,
don't have to use that.
correct. We have a procedure here. It's on the table for discussion. When the discussion sort of ends, we call it for a vote.
Okay.
But there is, you're correct, when it comes time to call the question, and there's still a lot of discussion going on, then that needs to be a motion, yeah, needs to be approved. But, at this point, we do have a legal description, the discussion being legal descriptions, what they are. Not an expert. We've had a motion to approve, and there's a second. We've had discussion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? This does not involve money, so we may have a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, the motion carries. As was teed up at the last council meeting, a proposal for a strategic plan from the Northern Illinois University Center for Governmental Studies. We do have a dollar amount proposal, and it's on your pages 23 to 36. I believe this was fairly well described last time, but now that we have a proposal and a chance to approve it, I'd like a motion to approve is in order.
Make the motion to approve it.
All right, it's on the floor for discussion. You see the proposal. City Administrator Melton has described it in writing and verbally at least 2 different times. Are there any further questions or comments, observations?
I think some of us on the council here have sat through. I know I had sat through an Augustana promotion, talked to people from Augustana, I sat through some meetings with St. Ambrose as well. The only thing we ever accomplished out of that was the number one thing people wanted in Morrison was a dog park. That was it. I don't know. I'm talking to a couple of previous council people. They question why we're doing this also. So.
Can I ask you, Vern, when you sat through those presentations, after they were completed and the interviews and the presentations, did either one of those universities come back and bring the city any sort of plan? For
I've
a
got,
municipal plan?
I couldn't find the packet from St. Ambrose, but I've got the one from Augustana.
So they did bring their findings back to the city,
Yeah.
or,
And I don't know. I
Did they-
mean,
did
I
they-
sat presentation on the rest cave. And I don't remember where we had another one from St. Ambrose. I mean, we had down the rest cave, we had 20-25 people there. And they were supposed to contact various people. I know that was previous city administrator, and I don't know what it is. I mean, we just, I don't know, didn't really accomplish anything, I don't think.
I think in my view, it's all what you look at it. I see this as new on the council as a outline for moving forward, not necessarily for us, but for the future, for the city itself. So if we're heading down the right path, it doesn't matter who's on council, who gets voted on, who doesn't run again, who retires, we're still moving down that path. I don't know if we've ever had that, Vern. Or if we're even abiding by any type of framework to move forward to get the city moving in the same direction consistently year after year after year, which we have not done ever. So I look at these as I would look at this as totally different, as a framework of progressing the city into a time where we can progress forward for our future and just keep moving forward to benefit the citizens of the town. And it doesn't matter who's on council. Okay, everybody has their own agenda, but I think this would steer us directly in the right path of progress. And that's the way I would look at it, as a framework. So that's why I would be in favor of this 100%.
All these references are cities, towns, much bigger than Morrison, Illinois.
Sure.
I mean, I just think
I think,
$15,000 to $24,000 is a lot of money to be spent.
well,
So steady that we've virtually done this 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago.
is it different than what this is? Are we doing anything different now than we did with those? Probably not. You said the only thing that came out of it was the dog park. Is that it? I mean,
That's it.
that's all you're saying that all that report is for the dog park? So if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have a dog park. Or maybe this report would say, hey, I'm bringing up that cell tower again. Maybe the citizens would say, yeah, I'm on cell tower. You guys voted it down. Okay, maybe not you specific, I'm not saying you specifically, Vern, but the count. So I'm saying this would be a framework to, maybe it's a different look at it, or, I just I've sat in here since May, and I've heard different differences of opinion. And I just want Morrison to progress into a brighter future where people are moving in, where we can move to a different area where, yeah, we're having the amenities our citizens want, and they can see our changes of the city, I go to other cities and I'm wondering, why can't we have this, this and this? Well, some of it's not even brought up. I brought some attention to Brian for Main Street that we haven't done in years past, and hopefully we can move to that to progress it forward. So I'm not saying what San Ambrose did or Augustana did before is not the same as this, but I'm not seeing anything like that. So.
I want to throw in there, just as a point of reference, I agree with everything you said, right? Because I think this council should have kind of taken a lesson during our discussions about the sports complex. It kept going back to, well, it was a plan like that. Well, who knew? Like, were we just supposed to know because we lived here, you know, the information was supposed to be in our brain? Nothing was ever written down. And then it was going back, trying to find people that may have been on the council during the time that it was built and created. What was the vision? No one ever took the time to write it down and make a plan. So when anything happens, we're all just flying blind, doing the best we can in the moment. And so I think it's really very important to make the plan to move the city forward with everyone's input, community members alike, so that everyone's always working towards a common goal instead of everyone just trying to do the best they can in the moment because they don't have everything laid out.
Well, if it gives you, you know, if it gives us a roadmap, like those two studies,
Mhm.
you know, I've lived here 20 years and I've never heard of, like, were the results shared with the community of what came back from it? You know, this where I think, okay, to where it'll show the citizens, you know, look, we're listening to you instead of us just sitting right here and saying, let's do this, let's do that.
And we have to be proactive as a council. That's all there is to it.
Right.
And if we had those reports back years ago, and I've not heard of them until you brought them up or
Right.
before, I mean, that would have been fine to have if we would have, but when I got on council, nobody said, hey, this is our look at our framework. This is the framework that we have. Kind of look at it and that's the direction we're going. I mean, that would have been awesome for me to get on council, you know.
I agree. I asked for that when
Yeah.
I started on the council. It's like a deer in headlights
Right.
kind of thing, like, oh gee,
Yeah,
we don't have one. You know, and it's like, I'm sure all of us are the same goal oriented, like give us a goal, we can all work towards it for the common good. But when we're just busy being reactive and putting up fires all the time, it doesn't benefit anyone in the community.
Well, I try to be more optimistic, but I can tell you it's very hard. And when we talk about progress and we're gonna march into the future and that this town is going to grow and, you know, people are gonna come in, they're gonna live here and all that stuff. I have a hard time believing that. It seems a little bit pie in the sky. And basically what I was thinking when you were speaking, Todd, is that progress and hope and those kinds of things for Morrison is just something that costs money. You know, speaking of the sports complex, a lot of money went into that for the very reason. For the future, for the kids in town, making the place a better place to come and live. Times have changed in a way, and Morrison is in such a difficult position. Because we're not surrounded closely by other communities. You got Sterling over there and Dixon and Rochelle, and they're all headed for Chicago. Well, poor Morrison is just a little bit too far away to join in that. And it's a little bit too far away from Clinton and the river, so we can't use the river. We don't even have the Rock River here. The train doesn't stop and they won't fix Highway 30, okay? Excuse me for being a little bit pessimistic about the future and, you know, a growing community here. Yeah, so going and spending $24,000, 22.4 is gonna end up producing absolutely nothing.
see, I disagree.
And,
because-
I don't get that.
and you have no money to fix the damn streets here. What could you do that would really make this community better? It would be to fix all the streets.
But we have fixed some of the streets, Greg.
We don't
can't-
have
We
enough
can't
money.
do it. Okay, so going to that point, I don't wanna, I'm not gonna argue with you, but I'm.
Why
gonna
not?
point
That's
out-
what this is for.
I understand, but we should have been fixing streets 20 years ago.
Oh, yes, of
Right?
course we
But
should.
if we don't have a framework, how are we gonna do that? How would you do that? You're just gonna wait for a different administration. Ryan gets out of the seat, somebody gets in there and they're like, wow, streets are not my thing. I don't wanna fix any streets. Okay, Fulton's doing some things over there, which is smaller than us, doing some different things than we probably would never do. Okay,
Where did they get the money to do that?
Cause they're bringing in people from outside.
that is
People.
correct.
You know
People
what,
out of
Greg,
there.
there's something.
That is
to learn.
correct. So
Morrison has a lot of assets.
instead
that
of
people
looking at
can-
Morrison as, hey, we can't do anything, let's try to change it. That's why I got in council. Let's try to change the
Right.
mindset. Let's try to change what we're doing and maybe it'll spark something. I know it will,
Maybe,
okay?
you know, Everett
So
used to
instead of
say,
bringing people in, let's do it for the citizens, and that's why you voted the cell tower down. Cause
well, I
let's
know
not,
you're-
let's do it for the city. That would have brought in probably 15 grand a year. Okay? Tractor supply. They're gonna bring in, I don't know how much money per year, okay?
but-
More people, and you're saying that we're not bringing anything in.
No, I'm not saying that.
You
I'm
just
saying
said
we can
that-
bring things in, but we
Well,
don't
you
have
gotta
to,
start-
we don't
can't
have
bring
to
all
pay
sorts.
Wait.
$22,000 to do it.
Trey, can I just throw this at you?
No,
I think to improve the city brings in more people, which brings in more tax dollars, which gives us more money to fix the streets.
yeah, I know.
Okay, we've had four alderpersons express, the remaining two, you have a chance, everybody should get the floor, and I think the city administrator wants to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been in this community for almost 15 years, so just for a point of information. To date, I have yet to be involved in the process of any strategic planning from a council's perspective. What Alderman Travell referred to from Augustana was a study done by college students to study the uses of one specific area, Waterworks Park. That was not a strategic plan for our community. St. Ambrose, don't know what that's all about. We did have, back in 2019, just before COVID, organization through Western Illinois University came into town and did a mapping program with us, which was pretty close to a strategic plan, but was not a strategic plan for our overall community. This council is charged with that responsibility. This council is charged with laying out that roadmap for the future of our community. Whether you're optimistic about it or pessimistic about it, that is your obligation as a council to be part of that strategic plan. If we just want to die as a community because there's no hope for us, then yeah, you're probably wasting your time on a strategic plan. But if you want to progress this community, if you want to, we don't necessarily have to grow, but we have to thrive because there are 4,000 people that live here. I live here. I want to live in a community that is at least thriving, not necessarily growing, but thriving. So I would expect my council, the city council, to have some kind of vision, some kind of plan for the future and what our community wants. Everybody talks about dog parks, sports complex, roads. What about other development? What about other things for our community? We have to engage our community, which this strategic plan will do, engage our community and allow them to give us feedback because we all represent them and we decide for them, for our community, through this process of a strategic plan. $22,000 is, yes, it's a significant amount of money, but it's worth it for your community, don't you think? Don't you think it's worth going through the process? I'm not an expert at this kind of planning. This center will come in here and walk us through the plan. They will engage us all. We will have arguments We will have great, healthy discussions during the process, but in the end, we will have a plan that we could say to our community, hey, we have asked you, we have listened to you, and this is the plan for our future, and then our budgeting and our management of the city is based on that plan, and we budget accordingly, and we do what our community wants. And it's just a very formal process that I can't fathom you not wanting to support, but everybody has, entitled to their own opinion. And if you don't support it, fine, we will move on, but, how else do you find direction for your community if you don't do a strategic plan?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, since this does involve money, we do need a roll call vote.
Okay, we will start with Alderman Slayton,
Yes.
Sideman,
No.
Gravel,
No.
Pickler,
Yes.
not happy,
Yes,
Cruz.
No,
You have a 3-3 tie, Mayor. What is your vote?
he loves it.
Yes,
Motion passes.
next is a purchase of a glassware washer for the treatment plant. I think this was pretty well teed up in the city administrator's comments. The actual bid documents are on your pages 37 to 42. The salient points are that there's a place for it, there's wiring, and there's a plumbing hookup for it. It should have, or was intended to be included when the wastewater treatment plant was built. We have the money, it was budgeted for. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion?
Question.
Yes,
So this was wired for when we built that building, right? Why did we not put it in the,
To my understanding was to save money. At that time,
are we talking 16? 16.5?
Yes.
And how much was that building?
that plant was 14 million-ish.
Enough said.
So why
We had a working one, then we still do have a working one. This was just more convenient.
yeah, the administrator's comments, there is a process now, but this is really speeds up the process, frees time. And so on and so.
It fills a hole.
Is there any further questions, discussion? If not, since it involves money, we will roll call.
Hey, Alderman Zideman,
Yes.
Alderman Gravel,
Yes.
Tickler,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes,
not happy,
yes,
Slayton,
Yes.
motion carried.
Absolutely. I can't figure it out.
All right, we have an abatement on a piece of property. This is the final year for the, what is known as the Dyke property, real estate abatement. This comes up every year, and like I said, we had 2 or 3 of those in my experience. This is the last one, and it expires this year. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
second,
Okay. Are there any questions on this? This is something the city has done this is a 20-year abatement, is that? Yes.
This was put in when Blockmans were thinking about coming to Morrison 20 years ago. And it never happened.
Silver cornfield.
It wasn't even Bachman's, it was Ethan Allen or something like
Sure,
that. I think
sure.
then.
All right, any other questions, comments? In my opinion, I don't see a dollar amount voted here or listed, written in the resolution. Let's have a
Well,
voice vote.
It's tax dollars.
unless the council
It
prefer a voice vote.
changes the tax dollars.
Okay,
There isn't a tax.
hearing discussion.
Oh, yeah, there's tax on it. but it's not
Discussion
taxes.
from the council, we will go ahead and have a voice vote unless it's pending any further questions or comments. All right, would you please call the roll?
Revelle,
Yes.
Pickler,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes,
Slagle,
Yes.
Titleman.
Yeah.
Motion carried.
All right, similarly, we go bond, Asian bond from 2016. Again, I think this is on your pages 46 and 47. It is resolved as stated in the resolution that we can abate the taxes and pay for the bond. Is there a motion to approve?
so moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, this does involve tax dollars, so we do need a roll call.
Alderman Tickler,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Trying to listen to that stinking council meeting in the car while it's louder than hell in this thing. I can't hear nothing.
What are you talking to us for?
Star Spangled Banner when we come back. It's a call 911. It's
Turn your-
November. It's just like it's just.
Holy crap.
It's that.
The Van Osborne family.
They couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Here's my trial,
They do that.
my address.
You can actually do that?
Who is that?
Weigh in?
Is
on-
our,
he shouldn't be able to, no. I thought I had the settings, but I thought I muted him.
okay.
Get out of your car and come in.
Turn the volume down.
On your pages 48 and 49 is another go by general obligation bond abatement. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Are there any further questions or discussion? Again, this should be by roll call.
Alderman Cruz,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes,
Slagle,
Yeah.
Titleman,
Yes.
Revelle,
Yes.
Pickler.
Yes.
Okay. We have the annual tax levy, again, was teed up in the administrator's written comments, starting on your page 50. The summary. There was a comparison also provided in the written documents regarding this year versus last year, the increase and the amount we are allowed. So we would publish this first. And that would be the motion I would entertain.
So moved.
second,
So the process is to publish this for exposure and then enact it after the required exposure period.
Yes,
Okay,
We get 100% of that building money. That's not shared with the library, is it?
so. No, in the, just to start, especially for the two new aldermen here, yes, there's a process each year that we establish our tax levy for the year. We have to post a draft of it, the proposed tax levy for a period, can't remember if it's 10 or 14 days. And then normally at the next council meeting, or thereafter, you approve the tax levy, whatever it may be. It has to be turned in by the last Tuesday or Thursday of December of each year to the county clerk. Many of these tax levies have statutory limits. And in the page 54 is the worksheet that I use. And it kind of shows the statutory limit. It cites the statute itself and then the rate. To answer Alderman Tervel's question, the library building tax levy, which has only been levied a couple of years now, that along with the library tax levy, 100% goes to the library.
100% of it,
Yes.
even though we're responsible for expenses and share.
Right, but it kind of, it's their portion, it's how they afford their 70%. And you approved the tax levy at the, about a month ago, a couple meetings ago. You have to renew that specific tax levy for the library building and equipment annually. So,
Doesn't make sense. We pay for the roof here. And we should be, at least be allowed that percentage.
well, they need money to pay their 70%. And
They have,
there's,
they have money.
Well, it's a little sleight of hand, isn't it, to, you know, it's money the city would get if we took the tax, so we give it to them, so they can pay us 70%, which, okay, if they have to, I guess.
I mean, they're not making money, they're not charging.
I don't know how they keep going at all.
so.
Well, they got all kinds of money.
So do it. Go to board meeting.
Don't worry about that.
Well, and just to touch on a couple more things with this, so our rate setting EAV, estimated assessed value, went up about 5% over last year, which is great. You always want, your value always wants to increase. But at the same time, we have what they call the tax cap that we have to stay under 5% increase on an annual basis without going through a different truth and taxation process. If we wanted to raise our property levy more than 5%. It has been the philosophy of this council for as long as I know, to only rate what is necessary. To rate what is necessary would go up and way beyond the tax limitation, because as I will point out, especially with IMRF, FICA and tort liability and property insurance, these assessed or these tax rates don't cover 100% of our costs. But each year, we try to remain fiscally responsible and raise that a little bit to get closer to that actual cost that the city incurs. That's why you will see that the proposed tax levy is just below the 5% at 4.994%.
Aren't most of these rates at the max anyway?
The rates that
A
are
lot of these have maxes too.
right, yeah,
A lot of
there
the
is
statutory limits, column and rate, they're all except for one, fire protection.
Yeah, on page 54 there, it shows, yeah, we're already at the maximum.
Yeah, so we can't do, the only way we get an increase is if our evaluation of the property in town goes up.
Right,
That's the only way we get more money.
on some of these,
Most of them.
yeah, most of them, yeah, I'll say most of them too, yeah, but you'll see like where it says, the column where it says statutory limit, and you follow that down to the actual cost, so like IMRF, FICA, even audit, and then insurance, we could levy the actual cost for us, but we try to stay within the tax limitations of the 5%, and just let it inch up each year to hopefully someday get closer to what our actual costs are. You could decide to levy the actual cost, but you would certainly go way beyond the 5% limitation.
Well, then there's that extra cost, because you have to have a truth and taxation meeting, do a publication, have a public meeting.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
everyone
process.
wants to- yeah, exactly, it takes a minute, yeah.
We have done that, I think, back in. Time I've been on this.
We've done it since I've been here.
Mhm.
And there are a grocery list of other tax levies available to the city out there, that you could levy, but, looking through all those that we aren't, levying, we don't have programs for. I can't even give you an example right now, but we could be levying for so much more. It's just, we don't have the programs, we're not that large of a community, so some of it really just isn't relevant to us. So this, just to clarify, this, motion tonight is only to publish this draft levy, not actually
Right.
voting on the levy itself.
And it can be changed in the meantime,
It
too.
can be, this is just a draft.
Correct.
Well, we must be ready to vote then.
It sounds, are there any further questions or comments about that? This is again, as the city administrator said, it's a motion to publish this draft. It is not a final document, it is to publish for the required amount, and should there be public comment for us to react to it. And then in a future council meeting, we will vote on the actual levies. That having been said, we should do a roll call because it's money involved.
Alderman Mahaffey,
Yes,
Schlegel,
Yes.
Zyla.
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Pickler,
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Carried.
And then finally, there is an increase in the street project of $10,918. Your pages 56 to 59. It's actually a net of 1 decrease and 4 increases, isn't it?
mhm.
Yes.
Is there a motion to approve?
Sure.
I'll
And-
second.
All right.
We don't do a lot of
Any
second.
questions or comments,
Oh, you're fine.
discussion? I think that the bill is pretty self-explanatory, although we don't want to limit questions. Would you call the roll? There's money involved.
Yes, sir. Alderman Schlegel,
Yes.
Zyla,
Yes.
Terrell,
Yes.
Pickler.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Mahaffey.
Yes,
Motion carried.
All right, then finally, not finally, but for discussion, we do have a revamped capital plan regarding streets and water, starting on your page 60. Again, City Administrator Melton teed it up in his written documentation. We've had some rearrangements, we've had some completion dates. And as discussed before, some of the estimated costs were placed and updated as well. Brian, do you have any comments to introduce this, or shall we?
Yeah, it's just for your information and any discussion you wish to have. Like I said in my notes, I took 3 documents and combined them to update this as a future reference as well as a current reference for street planning, and to show the history and what was done. And yes, for the upcoming year, it's kind of loosely proposed at this point to, at least as far as project planning goes, to a significant type of project or amount of a project. It's planned to, at most next year, do some intersection improvements to Genesee and Lincoln Way, if we don't get that done yet this fiscal year, which I'll touch on the next agenda item. But I just kind of updated this. As you see, most of the projects on the list are not cheap, and we need to kind of try and do a possibly every other year type of project, and work on a plan to fund the glaring project in front of us, and that's the ends of Main Street, East and West Main Street, for a combined total of about $2.5 million. So, us saving our pennies over the next couple of years, obviously is not gonna be enough, as you'll see with, looking at the budgets that I proposed, or the budgets that I showed to you, showing the history and the averages of our, revenues versus expenditures for both the 1% sales tax fund and the motor fuel tax fund. So, yeah, we'll be, not doing a whole lot this next year, trying to build a fund, to do projects you guys prioritize.
I'm trying to figure out beginning balance. This is on 1% sales tax. How we gained $175,000 from the budget and the actual.
Well, the glaring thing there is in the 1% sales tax fund, we budgeted $350,000 for street improvements, and to date, or at this point, without doing anything with Genesee intersection, the year-end actual will only be about 13,000. So,
Okay.
when you look at the accurate beginning balance, at the beginning of this fiscal year was accurate at 628,609. And so if you just look at what we budgeted and what is the expected actual, the beginning balance on May 1st of 24, the next new fiscal year will have an estimated fund balance of 808,511. With what we're projected to do and spend from this fund yet this fiscal year. That could change, the council could decide to do something else, or we're able to do whatever you guys decide with Genesee intersection. But as it sits right now, that is what it's looking to be for a fund balance.
So how do we pay for Cherry Street and all the other improvements?
Cherry Street's coming out of motor fuel tax.
Okay, so
But a portion of that, which is the next page, 62, that project was 379,000, and about 272,000 that was rebuild Illinois funds that we received over the last 3 years.
see, that one went the other way. We had almost 400,000 budgeted and we're down to 70,000.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we blew all the other.
yeah, the motor fuel tax is a little thinner, I'll say, than the 1% sales tax.
Well, at least we're doing.
So this FY24, this is the actual, it will not change? No,
That's the expected actual.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
then it's not the
No,
No,
it'll change between now and April 30th,
Yeah, the actual won't be known until April 30th, perhaps May 1st of 24. That's just
Oh,
from my budget planning and
Okay.
perspective and knowing what we're doing right now and what we will do through the remainder of this fiscal year is where I see those numbers fall. Don't carve them in stone, Harvey. Don't do it. We'll see how close I am though.
okay.
Well, I get a feeling of other people I'm sure in town, you know, like that section, that intersection by the hospital there. Yeah, that intersection, it's lovely. It's gotta warm the heart of all the people that drive through there every day. You know, so it's important for the town to
Thank you.
keep doing that, especially in places that are the most visible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there
So do
any,
we have another water leak at the church or what's going on there now?
We had a water main,
not at the church, no.
Not
Which
at that
church?
church.
Oh,
That
St.
your-
Peter's.
Up on
Up there?
Jackson Street.
Yeah, we had a water main break this morning that was,
Okay, I didn't think we was gonna go clear from my subdivision over there to hook up. I was hoping not.
oh dear Lord, no, no. But
Well, they're working on that too now.
There is a
Yes,
plan,
they are.
isn't there? Yeah,
they are actively working on, the water main loops, which there's two of them. One very near to you and then one off of Jackson Street going over to Coralland Drive. Which was just probably 50 feet south of where the water main break. So everybody,
Yeah,
so. But they're prepping those loops and they should be boring those lines by the end of the week. So. Anyway, that's what we're looking at streets, as I always say, if you guys have any ideas. Have other feedback from the community about other areas. Whether it's streets or anything else, please let me know.
Buildings. We got a lot of houses in this town that are abandoned. We need to- I've got two down in my ward for sure. Neighbors tell me that one house there, just east of Christian Reform, nobody's been there for 2 years. Somehow weeds got cut once this year, but I don't know who did it. Did we do it? Do you know? You know,
Take care with all.
and I think you're aware of the Main Street problem. We have one building for sure, possibly two that are wiggling and wobbling, dropping bricks.
Yep, I've started the process on addressing both of those, or at least two of them. Not sure if we're talking about the same two, but. Thank you.
I mean, we need to start serving these people and just, hey, just tell them if you don't keep your property. We shut the door on it. We could spend $15,000 doing that.
You're good.
Is there?
Like, you know what, you should get a strategic plan to put in place so you know.
I would
what
say,
you
do we have?
I do, I drive by the thing every day, and my strategic plan is to throw a match out, but I don't smoke.
Is there any help for that sort of thing anywhere? Or is that entirely on the back of the community?
There are housing and urban development funds out there for those type of projects. I believe some years ago, we got one house down by GE.
We used it.
Used Rock Island's like program. I think they came up and basically assisted our community, and we went through them to condemn and pull down a house. And I think that lot's still for sale if you're interested.
Oh, I got a number.
Okay. But yes, there are funds out there.
The short
That
answer is
lot's
there's
for
a lot
sale.
of money.
What's that?
The neighbor's using that lot.
I think maybe he bought it.
Yeah,
I
I think he bought it.
But looking forward, there might be some other people outside the community as far as people that wanna flip houses to your, instead of setting a match to it, we could always, reach out to people like that, because sometimes they don't even see what's here in town if it's not listed. I tell people all the time, if I see something that people are trying to get rid of, or it looks abandoned or something, hey, that, I wanna look at that property, it looks pretty prime for the picking, if you will, to try to buy it and do something with it.
We did that with Strading's house.
We kind of did that one on our own, yeah.
Yeah.
He was just joking about the fire.
Okay,
All
right. Are there any further questions on the two plans that were just again, as the city administrator said, the FY 24 actuals are an estimate through April 30th, and actually will not be known until that date. We have the project planning as well. Any further questions, comments on those? If not, City Administrator Melton has asked for a couple of minutes to talk about Lincoln Way, Route 30, and Genesee. So I'll let you
Thank you, Mr.
describe
Mayor.
our progress or
Okay,
movement there.
all right. First off, Genesee, I think intersection earlier last week, I met with our engineer with Willett Hoffman to update him on the lack of action of this council to do any kind of closure and removal of traffic lights at the Genesee intersection. Therefore, we're moving forward with a proposed project for this council to consider, which will make all the necessary improvements to that intersection, excluding any one-ways or street closures, and perhaps not even removing or replacing any traffic lights. We may be some maintenance and upgrading to the traffic lights, but no replacement or removal. And then the other improvements will be trying to address the drainage issue with replacement of a couple catch basins, some curving, improving the turning radiuses at that intersection so it's not so tight, sidewalks, ADA accessible intersections, and just some aesthetic stuff to the intersection as well, to make it not only function better, but also look a little better. So once those are prepared, hopefully in a timely manner here by our engineer, we will bring that back to you. If you remember, the budgetary estimate from the first plan set that Willett Hoffman provided this was a project of approximately 60,000, but that was removing the traffic lights. So I don't see the project being in cost wise much different than being projected. So this is not going to be a significant cost project like one of our other street projects is, but it will be some necessary improvements for that intersection.
And when are you meeting with the state
We did meet with the state.
and their prospects?
That was the second part of my report here. So the mayor and I, along with Representative Brad Fritz, met with the regional engineer for IDOT a week ago, 2 weeks ago, last Friday. While I can't provide you with any official word from IDOT, we had a very good conversation. We had a very frank conversation. We learned a lot. It was positive, and it looks like there's a multi-phase process for IDOT to replace and do the reconstruction of a roadway that includes approximately 4 to 5 years from when you start planning and designing to construction is at least 4 or 5 years. We were on the maybe list in 2029 for planning and design, which says that we were maybe on the list for construction in 34. Just from our one meeting that went very well, we have moved into the current planning and design stage, and we'll know something more official February, I'm gonna say February, after the first year, February of the actual calendar plan of the project. So though I can't say officially, but we are back on their radar and in their planning, which if it stays without any expeditious process, if it stays on the regular calendar, that would put us at construction in FY 29, which is calendar year 28 into 29 for the state. So some of the planning and design has already been done, so that will help speed up the process, at least through the first phase. And so we left there very hopeful. So we hope next year we will start the process over again with public hearings, town hall type meetings with IDOT, with the proposed plans, and hopefully we can get this thing moving forward. So,
And then we'd only be about a year from paying off the sports complex in twenty.
Well, that would be a state
20.
project.
yeah, this isn't gonna cost us
The
anything.
only thing on the city is if we wanna make things
Yeah,
pretty,
I know it doesn't cost.
like
anything.
light posts
Yeah.
or decorative.
I'm just saying,
retaining
they will
What
have. a
about
flood
water,
of money.
sewer?
That would be, well, water would be our
Our
issue,
cost,
yeah. The
another big,
the storm drain, yeah, that would be another big ticket, because I imagine that the water infrastructure under that road is,
Have to be replaced.
well, and I haven't looked at the maps, and our maps really close to see. We might just be crossing Route 30, there might not be a lot of water main infrastructure running down Route 30 as much as storm drain.
So did
It's
they,
not like we're gonna run a water mains down the middle of Route 30.
no,
Yeah.
no, the water main should have been put on the other post, but I don't know. I'd have to look, see where the hydrants are.
Yeah, well,
so did IDOT say why we've not been on the list or what the issue was before? So we don't repeat whatever that was before.
Probably a private conversation.
it was a very frank discussion, I will say, in public. But it's something I will not repeat in public.
And I will say they were
We could
prepared
have
for
it
the
on
meeting.
again.
Well, that's,
They were prepared and they were engaged with us, so
They were,
it's not adversarial.
no, they were waiting for us to come back to the table.
Yeah.
There's a.
but could there events happen again to cause the disruption? Like it was before?
Sure,
Could that happen?
sure.
Sure, but with the current administration of City Hall, no.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Okay.
There's a, yeah. We're just,
Let's leave it at that. I would
Like-
suggest. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, we need a motion to move into executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's fine. Yep, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, we all know what that.
probably unmute us just in case.
We are back.
Are we open for business there?
Yes, so
I'm making a motion that we raise net bonuses 275, 150, and 50. Net 275.
so that's
net
grossed up for
150,
taxes. So that take home will
and
be,
50 for summer.
I second that.
is there any further discussion? That is money, so we need a roll call vote. Sorry,
Let me catch up.
yeah, sorry.
Burn motion, put on a second. Okay. Vote.
Yeah, it needs to be a roll call because it has money.
Alderman Cruz,
Nay.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Zedema,
No.
Travella,
Yes.
Pickler.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-2.
The motion to adjourn
I so moved to adjourn.
is there a second? Second. Is there any opposition? At 8:04, regular session adjourned. Thank you, ladies and
I have to
gentlemen.
be careful with the chair rolling away when I'm trying. to
Yeah,
get up.
Your butt will be on the floor.
Be careful.
Brian, you need to fall back up there. Cause I looked up and I was like.
Man, I thought-
Oh my God.